What's hot with the circuit today? Hey everyone, it's Candy Kyler and Derrick Walker. We're here on virtual conversations. I'm trying something a little new today. I'm outside and it is absolutely gorgeous. So if I start to twitch and look crazy, it's just because I'm not used to working in the sunlight. Loving it. Hey Derrick.
Hey, what's going on, Candy?
Nothing much, man. I am just loving life and trying to figure this thing out every day, moment by moment.
Right, right,
Every not day to day, moment by moment.
yeah. And sometimes moments can be days. Moments can be
Minutes.
the blips of a second, and so it's all of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
ironically we talk about moments and momentum and the collection of them. Like that's what it is.
Yes.
That's what it is. And we're switched up this moment, right? Last time I was outside and you were inside,
Exactly.
and
And I
now like we
that. See,
this
I aspire to be like you.
you
Oh,
okay.
so happy Friday, everyone. The circuit is designed to empower, to educate, and to encourage you. And today we're going to have a conversation with my dear friend, Derrick Walker, who is a coach, a producer, um, a writer, a host, a graphic designer. What else? It's like a plethora of things that he does. And he does all of them really well. That's what I like about Derrick. Um, so we have some really good conversations. And if you haven't checked out his Instagram page to hear his not I'm sorry, not Instagram, his podcast. What's your podcast there?
It's called Fast the Lab.
Okay, so if you haven't checked out the lab, make sure you save that. It's on Apple and is it on Spotify?
On Spotify, all your streaming platforms.
Oh,
You can probably put it in the comments afterwards. So if you hadn't
okay.
gotten a chance to check it out, that's pretty much, I guess, what we're talking about today. Is some of the
Right.
podcast, some of the life, and just some of what my approach to things.
Yeah. I had the pleasure of working with Derek on a project a couple of months ago, and we just hit it off. And then I got an opportunity to listen to his podcast, and I was like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, you better come and talk to us on the circuit." Okay, so here's the funny thing: the sun moves, and I'm getting a shadow. So seriously, guys, if you see me moving around, it's because I'm trying to get used to my outdoor action here. So it's all good. How about we do that?
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Boom.
Got the melanin popping, huh?
Yeah. Still getting a shadow. Okay. Anyway, this shadow is not gonna fade my sunshine. So
Come
happy Friday again. I see some people watching. Thanks for joining us today. So Derek, I have been talking a lot about um, fear and doing it afraid.
on. Mhm.
Long before I knew that it was a title of a book of Joyce Myers. I know she used to talk about it in some kind of way. It just really kind of popped in my spirit, and um, talked about it years ago. I remember somebody did an article on me. Happy Life Media did an article, and the title of the article ended up being "Doing It Afraid,"
Mhm.
which was awesome because that's literally where I was in my life, and that's literally where I still am. I still keep pressing and doing everything that I do, even though I'm afraid. So I want to talk to you a little bit about fear,
Okay.
um, and how. What do you think about fear? I'm gonna leave it there, and then I'm gonna give my piece.
I'm just when you say fear, the jokingly, just because I'm a key to group in church, right? I think of the the things people say, false instinct that ain't real.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I get it, but like I don't. It is real, or not.
It,
Well,
it
whether
is
it's
right.
real or not,
Mm-hmm.
it can be debatable. But I always oftentimes think of that just in humor and jest. But no, I think what I've learned and what I've grown to learn and just understand about fear is that fear is it feels the same as opportunity,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's healthy to have a certain level of fear, which really translates into fear translates into caution.
Mm-hmm.
So being cautious is not necessarily the problem. The issue with being fearful or being just is that you're afraid to move. You're immovable, and you haven't built up enough. You don't have you're not to the point. You haven't made a decision yet. So even with fear or without fear, the ultimate thing we want to try to do is make a decision.
Right.
And like I said, being cautious is part of human nature. That's why we've been able to, like, kind of, I don't say save ourselves, but just being aware and being conscious and being present. All of those things really kind of drown out fear,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's there. It's almost like light. Like you put a shine light into a darkness. It doesn't mean darkness isn't around, period, but also in that area where the light is illuminated, that space, that's where you focus on the opportunity. I think it's the same with living life every day, is seeing the possibility, being optimistic in the midst of caution,
Yeah.
and just positioning yourself to make a choice. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a level of fear that is healthy. I think in this psalm says that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. So there's a level of fear that is healthy, and you think about fear of something falling on you. Your reaction is very quick, but
Right.
then there's this crippling fear that causes you to be stifled in what it is that you're doing, what you're thinking, what you're trying to do, whether it's from dealing with the loss of something or the gain of something, and you're fearful of taking that step ahead. What could happen? What if I fail? What
Right.
if and that's really what I want to talk to my entrepreneurs and you know my faith walkers. Even if you know that you can walk on water, when you get on that water, you
Right.
could sink. You know what I mean? And so, my mom says, positioning yourself to make a choice. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Teach Jackson said, how about, so y'all, okay, there we go. Yes, I tell my kids that it's okay to be fearful, but just don't allow it to make you stagnant. So very true. So
Yeah.
very true. So we definitely want to overcome, that type of fear that will cause you to be crippled.
Yeah. I mean, and if you imagine just a scenario of crossing a busy intersection, right? Like, it could be overwhelming. Like, there are moments in life that are just overwhelming. And then one could be standing at the crosswalk and just imagine being there and being so afraid to move forward, but also being afraid to just stand there, because you don't get to your next destination if you don't move. But if you stay there, there is some comfort and pleasure in that, possibly because you're not moving outside of your comfort zone, but at the same
Mm,
time, you're still stagnant. You're still not moving.
yeah,
And you're still not present and aware to what is happening around you.
yeah.
An option could be to grab someone's hand and say something. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's one thing that we can do in the midst of fear. There's oftentimes a lot of conversation about we shouldn't have fear, no fear. It's like, no, here are some tactics, here's some tools, here's some ways to overcome that fear, or to work within that fear. And like I said, one is asking for help, asking for someone to support you, even if you're at the streets, it's that walk. Look for the tools that are around you to maybe support you. There
Mm-hmm.
may be a button that you can press if you read that gives you a chance and a space and a moment for everybody else to stop, and you can move. So like I said, it's being open to seeing what is possible,
Yeah.
even if it feels impossible, but you know that I'm possible.
Yeah. And you said something, not allowing things to cripple you. If you stay in a place of comfort, if I stay on my couch under my blanket where it feels really good, I'm never gonna get to see what's in the kitchen,
Mhm.
how the warmth of the bed in the bedroom. I never will get up to get out and go outside to feel the sunlight. You know what I'm saying? If you
Yeah,
stay in your comfort level all the time, you
yeah.
never get to see what's on the other side, which may bring you even more comfort,
More comfort, more pleasure, and even more
move
um
you to a higher level.
higher space. Yeah, like, and
Hmm.
that's that's where we want to be able to move. And the key phrase of what you were saying, but with all that, is making a choice and moving.
Hmm.
And we can, even if we have to have help to move, it's okay.
That's
Like,
that momentum again.
that's the momentum. You
Hmm.
understanding that you need help, that you want support in that moment, is okay. And being present to see what's already around you, because we truly have everything that we need. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of having the consciousness and the consideration of what and who those people and who those things are.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And
So,
honestly, as I'm looking around I'm in my dad's house, but I see these plants. Like if you don't activate the plants, they don't grow. And if they stop growing, they stop moving,
mhm,
they're
mhm,
dead.
mhm,
They're dead. And then now I think about so many, the fear of, right now, there was a moment I had a fear of having too many ideas and that I didn't get them done. And my opinions would cloud my thoughts and how I made decisions and just make it really stuffy. But it wasn't until I got to a space to accept, you know what? I know that I can't do all of it. And here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to share these ideas and not just hold on to them. So
mhm,
whenever we have it, I have this concept called the elephant in the room. And
mhm.
the elephant in the room is oftentimes, from one perspective, the thing that we don't want to address,
Mhm.
which might
That
be fear,
hard stuff.
the
Mhm.
hard stuff, right? But at the same
Mhm.
time, there's another colloquialism that suggests that how do you eat an elephant, and
Mhm.
it's one bite at a time. But at the same time, who really wants to eat an entire elephant? So when you have this abundance and you have a lot of something, and then you're bringing and confronting something that maybe the elephant in the room may be fearful, this is the time when you share. This is where you share those opportunities. Hey, I'm doing this. I'd love for your support to come with this. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I got this podcast. I've got this. Let me share this with Candy.
Mhm.
And let me just share it. I have no idea about anything that might come from it, but let me share it because I know that I have this abundance of information. I shared it with her. She listened, and now we're on a bi-weekly conversation about
Mhm.
what I was talking about. And I'm working
Right.
on the book for that. So all of these things happen within movement, not just because not every portion that we can control. And at the same time, when we have abundance, it is important to share it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's where sometimes we get um, caught up and in a bad way because we think what we have is ours and we hold on really tight. My grandma used to always say, "Open your hands. Don't close. Keep your hands closed. Keep your hands open."
Yeah,
So if we keep everything to ourselves, we can't share our abundance. And then if your hands are closed, you can't get more.
you can.
Mm.
Yeah. And just, sometimes just get more. Sometimes you just need what you had replaced. You
Yeah,
just
more of it,
Yeah,
replenishment.
yeah, yeah. You just more nourishment and more just to add to what your desires are. We're much bigger than our fears. We're much bigger than the lack. We're much bigger than the mistakes that we've made. We
Hmm.
are bigger than all of those things because we have desires. We have things that we want to do, and we can move through them. Not we don't have to move past them. We can move through them. Let's move through them. And
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure that
yeah.
we're honest about what we're experiencing, even what those fears are, and what those opinions are.
Moving through and taking someone with you.
Come on,
Um,
somebody said that
that's
was.
what you just
Come
said.
on, somebody. Come on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful. I'm totally grateful for my village. And I was just talking to one of my besties the other day about we all have these ideas and concepts, and we're doing great things, but then there's more that you want to do. And I said, what would happen if we all got together and helped one person at a time?
Yeah.
One person at a time, and not to stop your momentum of what you're doing, but there's some extra little projects that you want to do. We talked about having multiple streams of income.
Right.
How do you have money that is made and you're not doing anything? you know um, what is it, and how can you help someone else get to it, and then they turn around when they start to flourish, then they turn around and help you. If you could concentrate all of your energy like that,
Right.
can you imagine how powerful that force will be? How you can actually make movement? Like you said, sometimes we feel like we have so many ideas and so many things we want to do, and we don't feel like we could do it all. You're right. Sometimes you can't do it all by yourself.
Yeah. And no, you cannot do it all yourself. And that's okay. And I think sometimes that's where the fear comes in, is because we feel like we have to do it all ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
which is about embodying beliefs that really don't empower you, beliefs that don't move you forward, and
Mm-hmm.
beliefs that don't keep you open.
Yeah.
We boundaries are important, but also boundaries can block you in. They can lock you in, and if you're not able to extend beyond those and be willing to understand how to, position your boundaries so that they do intersect with other people, that's where the opportunity is. It's really the cooperative economics,
Yeah.
shared ideas. It's very tribal, right? It's not about hierarchy. It's not about A lot of times, even when people want to partner in business or do have ideas, it becomes a conversation about hierarchy or who's in the lead or who's the head or who's the boss. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, understanding that what I describe as like flat leadership, or just everyone on the same level, just being able to contribute based on the objective. I think we start to realize that the goal can be bigger than the role, and we make decisions that align to make like exponential growth in everything.
Yes. Yes. So, the other night I was up. I don't know. I kind of woke up in the middle of the night, and I started scrolling through Facebook, and uh geez, I can't think of her name. Valerie, she's an author.
Hmm.
Can't think of her name, but anyway, she put this prayer or affirmation on Facebook, and I instantly kind of grabbed onto it and I made it mine. And what I've been doing is taking a deep breath every day.
Hmm.
And sometimes I try to do it twice a day, just to remind myself of what it is that I'm doing, what I'm
Hmm.
uh, what am I fearing, um, in the hard things that I'm dealing with that I don't want to deal with. And we're going to talk about that next. But the prayer goes: I take a deep breath, breathe, and position myself and say, God is with me. God is for me. God will not leave me or forsake me. God sees the big picture even when I can't, and I will trust God. So I remind myself that God is in control of all of this, even what I'm fearing, and then those things that I want to do that I feel like I can't accomplish. And so if I allow God in the room, in the conversation, then I open it up for God to send those right people to come along and walk with me to help me through this path. And so one of the things that you and I talked about yesterday was the hard stuff. And you said, I just don't feel like doing the hard stuff. I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like talking about it. And I was like, I know. We just talked about even,
Right, right.
business people. There's some stuff that you just don't feel like doing and you just wish it would be like this, and this, but it's not. And so there's the work that we have to put into it. So when they talk about eating that elephant piece by piece, can you imagine how tough the elephant skin is?
Yeah.
So
And
think
how,
about that in everything that you're doing. So tell us
right.
your thoughts on, tell us more about this elephant in the room.
So just the elephant in the room is just um it's the hard stuff is coming to terms with reality and accepting it.
Hmm.
That's really the hard work. What makes it tough is that it's possibly not what we expected to have to do.
Hmm.
Right? We didn't expect to have to make this type of decision in this way and accept this reality. And that goes from experiencing grief to any idea that you had that didn't go exactly how you wanted it to.
Hmm.
The hardest part, sometimes the most challenging part, is really coming to terms and accepting it as it is. Because once we accept it, there's a certain experience that feels a little more settled, or we feel like we have the chance to say, okay, you know what? This is what it is right now. I accept it. Here's what's possible.
Right.
Being able to clear just a little bit of space to get a little bit of headroom to see what's possible, that's where we start to identify and get an energy, just an enabling energy to make another decision. And sometimes the decision is not for us to do the work. The work is that we make the decision. The effort is what we do after that, right? So
Hmm.
even with ideas, it's not necessarily important that we do them all. The same thing with when you have an abundance of ideas, those are opportunities for you to share. So that's
Hmm.
when you bring in other people, you connect, you partner, you create, different arrangements and agreements to make sure something is done. I love music, and as a musician, I think, I believe every instrument can function by itself and alone, right?
Hmm.
The piano, the drum, the bass, the clarinet, the guitar, even the vocalist, all of these instruments can function very well alone. But
Hmm.
what happens when you've got drums and you add a bass
Hmm.
and then you add some keys?
Mm-hmm.
And then you add some wind instruments and a
Yeah.
trumpet and a trombone and woodwinds, and then you add a vocalist with a microphone. It's you're still communicating the same message. The way it's communicated and everyone that's being able to be involved in it is just different. And there's a certain fullness that comes from even that Sunday, at church when the full, when the mass choir sing, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a different energy that happens when we're able to gather and when
That's
we
a good
become an
analogy.
ensemble. No, I'm serious, and I
Yeah.
use a lot of church analogies and comparisons because like I grew I grew up in the church, but even being in the marching band, what happens when we all get together, right? And when we all can share and feast on this energy of love and compassion and empathy and grace and graciousness and being grateful. Like that's where we come together, even from a certain standpoint, not to be too biblical. That's really what worship is,
Mm-hmm.
right? The coming together and being on one accord. So
Mm-hmm.
now how do we identify these same opportunities that we practice? We do, if you go to church, you're doing this. We're doing it at church. We're doing it at work. How do we do it in our families in a more
Mm-hmm.
intentional way? And if I believe if you can have a meeting at work, you can have a meeting at home.
Yeah. Yeah. How do we do it as entrepreneurs, when you don't have the the staff and it's just you? I'm just flipping this back to,
Mhm.
I see some of my entrepreneurs on the line. Um, how do you do it when it's just you?
Yeah, when it's just you, that's the perfect opportunity to bring on some other people. I think tiredness is an indicator of abundance, right? Like you have you have a greater need to get more rest.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean? You've got to stop doing as much. What does that mean? You've got to three things I say: eliminate, delegate, or automate.
Mm.
Eliminate,
Eliminate.
delegate, or automate. So it can so ask yourself those three questions each and every time. Can this be eliminated?
Mm-hmm.
If it is eliminated, what happens? Once it's eliminated, sometimes it's just a matter of taking some of the things off of your plate
Mm-hmm.
and just putting it into the space where someone else can handle it because it doesn't add to you. It really takes away and detracts. The next one is to delegate. Who do you know that you can delegate this to? That, like I said, that could be a partnership, that could be a work for hire, that could be a 1099. Like there are certain ways that you can delegate to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that this line item is executed. And the next thing is automate. There are so many tools that are available to
Absolutely.
automate aspects of business that we don't really have to do a lot of the same type of
Mm-hmm.
administrative work. Because a lot of times administratively, particularly solopreneurs, they do miss out on opportunities because of the administrative piece maybe going lacking and that's just not being as in sync as them offering or providing that service or product. Look at a Honeybooks, look at Square, look at PayPal, look at all of these other things that help make a certain part of your business, the payment. If you
Mm-hmm.
make paying simple and automate your payment, you'll make more money.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, when you're looking and feeling or have a sense of being overwhelmed, ask yourself the three questions. Can it be eliminated? Who can I delegate or how can I delegate it?
Mm-hmm.
And then is there a way to automate? And being able to do that will help tremendously.
Yes, yes, yes. I am getting there.
You're getting there?
In there. Yep. Yep. I started automating a lot of stuff this week. Well,
Hmm.
the past couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then part of that is now it's about now understanding what your process is,
Mm-hmm.
which is another part from an entrepreneurship. Sometimes we're so much in the grind, and
Mm-hmm.
grinding is not good anywhere. Grinding is not good. So even when somebody say I'm on the grind, like get off the grind. You're gonna hurt yourself. But sometimes when you're in the trenches and you're just going, you don't fully understand the process and understand how you can take some parts of that process and delegate or eliminate or automate just till you get to another section of what you need to be done. Like for me, as doing a person that's doing did a lot of graphic designs for events. I found myself having the most time going back and forth with making sure I had all of the information up front. And that was I had an abundance of issues and backlog and congestion from a certain standpoint. So what I did was create a form that has everything that you need to communicate with me that needs to be on this flyer, from who presented it, the special guest, is there address, is there a contact? Do you have a color that you like? Do you have a logo? Send me the photos. Send all of this at one time. So now when I do start my process, I don't have to go back steps. And I think that's something else with entrepreneurship or just solopreneurship and in business that happens, is that we end up having to do double work or triple work because we're not completely certain of our processes. And
Yeah.
to that, it seems tedious on the front end, but once it's installed and once it's in place, it's going to work. Believe yourself, trust yourself, and know that you're making the best decisions for your business. Now, if you don't trust yourself, it's going to show up as fear.
Mm.
It's going to feel like everything around you is pushing you away. It's going to feel like the devil.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we gather other people. That's when we work with someone else and reach out to say, you know what, I don't know. Because that's sometimes the fear too, is like we don't want to admit to ourselves, I don't know. Because we come from a space where we should know.
Yes. Why do
We
I feel like I should know
how
everything?
how are we supposed to know?
Exactly. I'm
We
only
haven't
human.
done this before. Listen, literally right now, who we are experiencing, we didn't even have a plan. We didn't have an idea who we are right now. We didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Literally because of the pandemic and just how things have been moving. We didn't know, we don't everything that's happening now is new.
Yeah. That's a good question to ask our audience. What is one characteristic that you either have been lightened, have a characteristic that has been highlighted or enlightened during the pandemic, or that you didn't even know that you had?
That's a good
So it's
question.
gonna take them a minute with
Yeah. No,
a
that's a
little.
good question. And if I have to answer that for myself, I would say the one thing that I've realized about me that's been illuminated even more in a positive way is that I like to plan. I really, really like to
Really?
plan. Yes. Like, and I used to have this saying, like, I make plans so I don't have to make plans. I want to be fluid and do all these things. No, I really don't. I really appreciate a plan. I really appreciate being able to stick to it, particularly in the times of COVID. Like, you have to have an idea of why you're going out, of why you're doing something, where you're going, who might be there. Like, so it's been okay for me because I can plan to do this and go to Costco and do this and pick something up and have a mask here just to get like I love and appreciate planning. So which because of my life and how I was moving pre-COVID, it seems to be clashing because I didn't plan. I just would, I would make plans so that I don't have to make plans and just keep going and just move. And somebody need me 2 days later. Yes, that was stressful, and I didn't realize how much stress that was for me until I got to a space where I couldn't move the same type of way. And it was like,
Right.
you know what?
Somebody just asked us to repeat the question.
Yeah,
So for those of you that are just joining us and you didn't hear the question was, what have you learned about yourself? What characteristic did you either was in uh, losing my words, that was heightened during COVID, or that you didn't even know that you had? What are you doing now? What have you learned about yourself during the last, what, 7 months,
7, 8 months. Yeah,
8 months? Yeah. So share with us. Thank you, Derek, for sharing
yeah.
planning. I got to think about that thing for a minute. I really think that it was, for me, everything about me just was heightened during this time because I am a planner and you couldn't plan.
Right, right, right. The irony, right?
Right, right.
Yeah,
Um, and so everything that was planned was crumbling. But everything that I could do, I could still do in COVID. You know
hmm
what I mean?
right.
Uh, for the most part, there you have to find a workaround, and so it's not becoming stagnant during this time, but yet keep pressing so that when the time is right, you're ready.
Right. And that is about preparing yourself.
Hmm.
That is about acquiring skills to be available and ready for moments like this. That is about looking at the history of what you've done the most consistently over the past year, over the past 5 years, over the past 10 years. where you can say, you know what, I'm really knowledgeable of this and understand this process and can apply this in this capacity. If you've been working over 10 years, just look, if you, first of all, you look at and identify what you've been doing the most of the last 10 years and align that with the skills for a job
Mhm.
or a profession or a career or business. You
Mhm.
will start to
Mhm.
see, if you've been a stay-at-home parent, you've got a certain level of understanding with time management, relationship management, all of these transferable skills that allow you to move into other spaces and grow and scale. And I think that's what
Mhm.
sometimes we're not in alignment with those strengths, and we're not even valuing recognizing those strengths because we count them out, but like those are real strengths.
Mhm.
Me
Mhm.
talking is the same thing that got me in trouble years ago. But if
Yeah.
I look over my life, like consistently, when I have been talking, I'm always getting greater and newer opportunities. So find the strengths. Look at what you've been doing the most of historically.
Right. Right.
You want to share some of the what they've
Yeah,
learned
let's
that
go
eliminated.
in. Yeah. Can you see the
Mm-hmm.
comments? I'm
Yeah,
learning
Diane.
than I ever thought I was, not because of myself, but yielding to God's will. Lisa says to really reconnect with myself, extracting the noise, expectations, etc., and being at peace with myself. That's good. April shared the fasting. She didn't know she could do it. Good for you, April. Patience. Yes, Vanetta. I think you're such a patient person. But okay, that's what you said you learned. Great. Um, Resilience. Yes, Tease. And you're showing it. You're doing it. That's awesome. Oh, this goes back to a line not grind that we talked about earlier. Grinding had become such a popular word that everybody wanted to do it. When you get in a space or you find yourself where you feel like you're grinding, you think about grinding teeth,
Yes, a
grinding
grinding
metal,
break.
metal. Think about your brakes
Yeah,
grinding together. If
like
you have gotten to that point in whatever you're doing, you need to stop. You need
literally.
to take 3 steps back.
Listen, staying up late does not make you a hard worker. It just makes you
No,
exhausted and tired.
yeah. You have
And
to find balance in what it is you're doing and
yeah,
how you're doing.
and we have to take care of our bodies.
Yeah.
That's we've got to lean into that. Like I'm realizing even now, like I one another illuminated thought is that since COVID-19, my phone has been on silent even more. An
Mm.
alert and a notification, I just realized it makes my chest like tight.
Mhm.
I, that doesn't feel good. So I've had to put my phone on silent, and I missed. There's some opportunities I've missed, or that there's some opportunities I normally would have accepted that I didn't. I wasn't able to accept because I didn't answer the phone. I didn't hear the alert for the phone or the email. And I'm
Mhm.
also at peace with that because, like, not having those moments of anxiety and those anxious moments, and my body like kind of tensing up, it's worth it. It's worth it beyond any
Mhm.
dollar amount, beyond any opportunity that leads me to somewhere else, leads me to somewhere else. Like I'm not afraid of sacrifice. I think
Right.
sacrifice is important, and being willing to do that is important as well. Even when you talk about fasting, that's faith, action, sacrifice together. That's the name of the other book. But we put all of those things together, and that's what is generates and creates more outcomes and more possibilities to do more
Mhm.
of what we love to do and be who we really be
Yeah.
who we
Yeah, Marsha says self care is so important. And it is, and it's funny how things become these buzzwords. But
are.
honestly, all along, we are supposed to be practicing self care. And when you get to a point where you've hit a wall, you have to kind of be okay with it. Like yesterday, I hit a wall. And I
Mm.
missed a whole live that I was supposed to be on with Derek and some other colleagues. I missed it. And when I got up, I was still up working last night at 2 o'clock because I'd slept. Um, but I beat myself up. I was like, oh my God, I missed it. I hate missing appointments. I am just one of those people that if I give my word and say I'm going to do something, I definitely want to do it. But when your body says something different, what can you do?
Let me tell you this though, your body didn't really say anything different. Your body forced you to stop.
Well, yeah, it said the opposite of what I had said I was gonna do.
Right, because you weren't listening to your body in the first place.
Yeah, you're right. Hmm.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and not, I don't want to be right. I'm also saying that like your bodies, our bodies say the same thing. That
Hmm.
indicator to get up and go to the restroom is the same the very first time. It's the same as the last time when you had to hurry up. And you were in a tight. No, you made
Hmm.
a decision to not follow your body,
Hmm.
and that is important. That is of God. Like that is of
Hmm.
God. That is about. I mean, you talk about obedience.
Hmm.
Like that's what that's about.
Hmm.
That
We
so
talked about a lot of stuff today. We
yeah,
talked about a
and
lot of stuff.
I hope that you don't feel like we're everywhere, kind of like just kind of
But
flowing.
it all connects together though.
Mhm.
We talked about fear. We talked about doing the hard stuff, um, and listening to yourself and your body, whether this is your work life or your personal life, your spiritual life. We talked about it all, but it all people have issues with all of it, and it's what people are going through, and we just kind of touched on a lot of different things, but it was good. It
Yeah.
was good. So people are looking for coaches, and we have several house coaches. I'll say the circuit has been blessed with some really good people. But Derek, if people are looking for a coach and want to contact you, can you tell them how to get in contact with you?
Well, first of all, you can contact Candy. Candy is a facilitator of all things great, all things good, and all things glorious. So, if first of all, if you know Candy, you could definitely connect with her and connect with me, as well as just all the social media platforms. I am D Walk. IAM DWALK. It's also an acronym for I affirm me. Um, so you can look for that. You can search my name, Derrick Walker. And listen, call me 972-965-2318. Text me, call me. Let's grow. Let's stay connected and exchange some goodness and some gracious and do some growth and do some, not just in business. I think a lot of, we talked about the connection point with everything.
Hmm.
I think the connection point is that in everything we do and everything that needs to be done, we have to make a choice.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're talking about decision making, and we're talking about how
Hmm.
we make decisions. So please decide to follow me, decide to connect with me. If I say something that you like, please share the feedback with me. I don't know if you like it until you tell me. I just kind of go with what I think, and when Candy gives me feedback. But like if I say something or share something, please let me know that you shared it, and please let me know that you appreciate it, even what you got from it or how it inspired you. Like that type of feedback is important for me because, like I said, I just follow and I'm guided to share and do what I do.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. A great conversation. Thanks for all who joined us today. Please share your thoughts and your feedback. We hope to see you in 2 weeks, right here, same bad channel, same bad time. We got some new stuff in the works that will be coming. It's so funny. I'm outside today and I am just really enjoying it. It feels great. The sun is giving my shine a little overdrive, but that's okay. My power is out because a tree is down, a huge tree, and I have a proposal that's due. But guess what? They can take their time with the power because I am enjoying the moment. So for you, enjoy the moments. If it's going outside, enjoying the weather, or if it's talking to a friend, or talking to yourself, or talking to God, whatever your moment is, take it. Seize the moment. Listen, make it a God day, and I hope you enjoy this weekend. And we will see you in a couple of weeks. Have a great one. Thank you, D Walk.
All right. Thank you so much. Peace.